Hi everyone, welcome to the Monkey Patching Podcast, where we go bananas about all things DNS, ads, and more. My name is Murilo, and I'm joined as always by my friend Bart. Hey Bart.
Hey Murilo.
How are you?
I'm doing well. It's been a while.
It has been a while, hasn't it? How come how
I don't know, I guess life got a bit busy in the new year or something.
Yeah, new year, new us.
The festivities pulled us out of our structure.
It did.
Then it got a bit busy. And then before you know it, it's end of January.
Yeah, but it also gave us some time to reflect a bit as well, right?
Yeah.
So we also
Not that there are any conclusions, but...
No conclusions, yeah. But I think it starts with reflection, right? It starts with like navel gazing, right? So yeah, maybe we've been discussing a bit as well in between the recordings. Maybe about a new format, right? And I think the reflection came because we quite very much enjoy doing the pod, but also at the same time we see that there's a lot of similar podcasts, right? Even the tech podcast about tech news became AI news very quickly, right?
Yeah, that's true. Even though we can't really complain either, right? Like we now have, 7,000 subscribers on YouTube?
Yeah, let me check.
Yeah, a bit less than a year.
1,600.
We started in May, I want to say.
Yeah, indeed. I feel like we can't complain too much.
But yeah, I think we were in the spirit of the new year, thinking a bit about what are our podcast resolutions, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and what can we do that maybe that's a bit of a different angle, right? Something that can be interesting for people. So yeah, I think we've been toying with the idea of doing a bit more interviews, right? Interviewing different people, maybe startups, maybe products, maybe different
Well, we're
groups.
still a bit in the brainstorm phase, I guess, right? Like
we are. In any case, I think we also discussed that we'll probably still do the news segment.
Yeah.
Right? But maybe in a different cadence or something.
But if we go for the more frequent interviews, we might do the news like only monthly, like
highlights of the month.
But all of these are just brain farts now, right? Like for the interviews, we're thinking like maybe it's interesting to have like both tech startups, but also tech investors. Like this combination could be interesting. Yeah. We need
There's
to
also
have
the newsletter, how this newsletter comes in as well, right? So there's some moving pieces, and so yeah, we have some reflection. So
maybe... we need a few more dinners to stimulate the brainstorming.
Exactly. And maybe also in the next month as well, I will be taking some time off. I have a friend's wedding, so I will be February as well. Maybe we'll have a slightly different cadence, but it's a bit unrelated to this. But
it's all Brilla's fault.
Yeah, it's late on me. But what do we have for today, Bart? It's a bit of again highlights on the past weeks.
Yeah, we have a few highlights. I'll kick it off.
Kick us off.
AWS is rolling out a European sovereign cloud run exclusively by a EU professional scope to keep sensitive data on the continent and out of reach of US regulators. Amazon says the project, backed by a $7.8 billion investment, launches 15th of January and tackles mounting privacy and jurisdiction anxieties.
Yeah, so I think I don't know if we talked about it before it was a real thing, but we have definitely followed the EU anxiety, quote unquote, towards the reliance on American clouds. We also saw some outages from AWS, like even if everything is hosted in EU, if there is one service in the US that sometimes like a DNS something, right? And I remember hearing before that AWS was gonna basically like EU flavored AWS, right? So I guess legally and maybe some also practical differences, but basically it was like the same AWS services you know and love in the EU. And I thought it was already a thing, but apparently no. Like this was released in January. So AWS officially launches the European Sovereign Cloud.
I think it has been in the making for a long time.
Yeah, indeed. So What do you think of that? Because we do have some European clouds, OVH, I want to say, and I think there was another one.
Well, what do you think of it? It's a bit of a tricky political thing, right? I think we've seen over the course of the last year a lot of hesitance to rely on American suppliers, even though sometimes we don't have good alternatives in the European Union. But like the geopolitical tensions that we have, and I think the lack of trust in the American system as it is today is forcing a lot of European institutions to look at European players.
Yeah. And would you say AWS is now a good European player, like a good alternative?
Well, what I do think is that we've seen accelerated, and there are a few examples in Germany. You have OVH indeed. You have Scaleways, they're French, and that they've been boosted a lot in the last year because of this. I think this is a response of AWS that fears to lose their big customers, which typically is big European government customers, which do generate a lot of revenue for them. And this is their way to say, but we're not. You can trust us. We're fully on European soil, but they basically get here the customers that they get their encryption keys to their data. So even if someone within the AWS would want to access, they can't because the customer has the encryption keys. Yeah, I think it sounds good on paper, right? I think whether or not if there is ever a litigation from a US side that AWS can enter the data center in Europe, we don't know, right? Like it's still an American company. The encryption keys, of course they help, right? But it's clearly like a reaction to a lack of trust.
Yeah, for sure. But then even in this, with the AWS European Sovereign Cloud, that would still be the same, you think?
What do you mean?
Because I'm wondering, you mentioned if the authorities, they go in and they want to.
So what I understand, but it's where my very limited legal understanding of this is that because it's a fully European entity.
Yeah.
Which in the end is still owned by AWS US, of course. But the way that they structured it is that the US parent, which is AWS in the States, they cannot technically access it. There's even no emergency paths to do this.
Yeah.
They're not allowed to do that. AWS outside of the EU also doesn't hold the encryption keys, right? It's really the customer that holds it.
Yeah.
So they make it very difficult. But even if by law, by the current US law, they're not allowed to touch it, that doesn't mean that the law can't be litigated, right?
Yeah, true.
And I think there is very little trust in the current system.
I agree.
Especially with a country that is constantly being mistaken for being Iceland.
I will not take that bait today, Bart, but nice try.
Okay.
Nice try. But yeah, indeed, people are not, there's a lot of distrust, and some people have already actually left AWS because of this, including DNS Belgium. So DNS Belgium's.be registry, DNS Belgium says it plans to move its domain registration systems off AWS, aiming for a European cloud provider as sovereignty climbs the agenda. Leaders cite geopolitical risk, fearing US restrictions, and expect the transition to start in 2027 and finish in the second half of 2027 without disrupting DNS resolution. So this was in 3rd of December of last year. So it's before AWS announced the Sovereign Cloud, officially, let's say, right? I think, again, we heard about it before. But yeah, I think, again, it kind of paints the picture here, right? I think they even mentioned at some point, although we're really satisfied with AWS as a technical partner, we do not want to risk finding ourselves in a situation where we have to take a swift and unprepared action. So basically they're saying we don't have any reason to distrust AWS per se. They have been doing a good job, but the geopolitical tension has prompted us to be proactive and choose something where we can migrate in a timely manner and not have to deal with the consequences.
But I think the quote there is it's a very sensible one, huh? Like,
yeah.
If you're running something that needs to be very robust, like in this case, like a registry, right?
Yeah.
Like a domain registry. Like you don't want, if you're in a situation where you don't have the trust that you can rely on this for the long term, then there might be something that pops up that forces you to act in a matter of a couple of weeks, which is super difficult for a large and established company, right?
Yeah.
So
sure.
This is basically like a proactive move, even though they're happy about the service that they're getting.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which is a pity, and we've discussed this earlier. Like this is just because like the American brand is completely
deteriorating.
Thank you,
There we go. Yeah. Yeah, but I agree. Yeah? Like again, another quote from the general manager of DNS Belgium: geopolitical realities are forcing us to think more carefully about our infrastructure. So again, I think it's
So I think if the geopolitical climate stays like this, like you see DNS Belgium is probably a relatively small organization, right? But if this continues for the coming 10 years, like you will see all government agencies moving away.
For sure.
I think it's as simple as that. And they will not go to AWS Europe. They will go to a European provider.
For sure. No, I also agree. I also agree with that. In that, so maybe taking a different point of view, because I was discussing this, well, not this per se, but like this topic in broad terms with a friend. And he was saying that there are some benefits from this, or there are some upsides, right? That now we are investing more in being independent, so like more in European clouds or more in, I just heard, I think this morning, there was a deal to EU and India as well for like, there are different things that come out because we say, okay, maybe we shouldn't rely so much on other countries, right? We need to be a bit more self-sufficient. And there's a bit of mobilization towards that. I mean, you can even think about AI, right? Because today it really feels like it's US and China. And we talked with Charlotte as well about the AI factories and how they want to encourage the use of AI and the large computers, the GPUs and all these things, right? How do you see that? Do you also agree that this is maybe in the long term, it can be good for Europe because it kind of wakes us up and forces us to be more proactive on these things? Or do you not agree with that at all?
No, I definitely agree. Like this brings the incentives to build something new, right? Something that is competitive. And I think like, let's be realistic. If we ignore the Chinese players, there are only 3 major cloud providers. They're all US. It's time to have some competition, eh?
So maybe, yeah, I think
the thing is like we've never really seen like this as competition. Like the US has always been like like an extension of the EU. I think in a lot of people's minds, right? Like it's a loyal ally. There's no friction there.
Yeah, I feel like, and that's the thing. I mean, you can talk about this, but you can also talk about, I don't know, security and all these things, right? Like it was, when we saw US as a reliable partner, it was easier to just lean on them. But I feel like when that assumption gets challenged, then I think it also prompts you to do something, right? So
I think you see this example. It's a bit of a different setup, but in China with chip production as well, like
yeah, exactly.
The screws get tightened, and they don't almost get no chips exported to them anymore by Nvidia. And then what they do, like they set up their own production because you can't rely on your partner anymore.
Yeah.
And you still want to have this service. You still want to have this capability. Yeah. And that's basically what we're seeing here with cloud providers, right?
Yeah, exactly. I fully agree. And I think we could also extrapolate to some other fields. So I'm also wondering if, like long term, this is not gonna, like, I wonder if in the long term, if this is not gonna hurt the US more than anything, right? But I mean, what is long term?
Quite sure, but
yeah. We'll see. And what else do we have? What's next?
Moltbot. Until a day ago, it was Claudebot. So TechCrunch explains how Claudebot, now Moldbot, after an Anthropic dispute, went viral as a personal AI that actually does tasks like scheduling, messaging, and check-ins, and why that matters now. Built by Austrian developer Peter Steinberger, it has 44,200 GitHub stars, and jolted Cloudflare shares 14% pre-market, while prompting warnings about how to run such agents safely. But this news went viral, I want to say 3 or 4 days ago. It's about Claudebot, what's called originally, very confusing. Claude as in CLAWD bot, claw, like a lobster claw.
Yeah.
Anthropic, of course, contacted him, saying this is a bit of a breach of trademark. And then they did the mature thing, and they simply renamed it to, also very aptly, what does a crab do? And when going to the next phase, it molts. So now it is a Moltbot.
Yeah, but I'm also happy with this change, to be honest, because for the first 30 minutes that I was talking to someone, it's like, oh, did you see Claudebot? And I was like, oh, what, Anthropic? Like, no, not Anthropic, Claudebot. And like the conversation was difficult because it really, phonetically is the same. Huh? But yeah. So what is Moldbot?
So Moldbot, you install on your on wherever you want, basically on your local device. Whether it is your day-to-day thing or something you have on a server box, but you install it there. It's still a bit, I want to say, it's a bit technical. You need to be a bit tech savvy still to set this up. But from the moment you have it set up, it can do more or less everything that you do on your device, which of course, like, introduces a lot of security issues. But let's ignore them for the moment. But you can, like, a simple example, like I give it access to my calendar, and then I can say every morning at 6:30, send me an overview of how my day will look like. And then it will send this to me via, well, in my case, via WhatsApp. But you can connect via a lot of different channels. Like, it has a lot of plugins set up and ready to go. You can say, you can let it answer emails for you. You can let it negotiate a price for whatever you're negotiating via email. You can let it go through your GitHub PRs, comment on them. You can actually let it execute terminal code. So I could let it execute a Claude code command, like these type of things. Like, it's very, very, very flexible. Like, it's basically, it's a bit like, to me, it's a bit like what you could already do a lot of these things with Claude code. Yeah. Because Claude code also has access to your full system. But it comes with already a lot of different plugins out of the box, a bit more user-friendly than that.
Maybe a question. What is the difference between Moltbot and Claude Cowork?
Well, then we need to introduce Claude Cowork.
Yes.
Claude Cowork is, if you have the Claude desktop version, you can go to Claude Cowork. And it's basically, say, a visual version of Claude Code. So you can say there, go through all these files, find all the addresses in there, and make me a clean list in a CSV, right? Like like these kind of things. You can also let it interact with your browser.
Yeah, the way I heard from Simon Willison is exactly what you said. Like, it's so Claude Code is a terminal thing, and developers started using for more things than just coding. And they kind of, Claude people, Anthropic people realized this, and they kind of created for maybe the less technical savvy, right? So you have an app, but basically interacts with your computer the same way that Claude Code would do via the terminal, with the sub agents and all these things. So it's now catered more as a general purpose or for the general population kind of thing, right? But it still does a lot of things on your
I think a big difference with this versus like Moldbot is that Moldbot also allows you to do a lot of more proactive stuff or reacting to events. You could say, whenever this message comes in, do this, or every morning at that time, do this for me, or like regularly check in with me on this, or like with this, like if you haven't heard from this person in X time, and then send them a reminder because we're waiting for this feedback on this RFP. Like, you can do like these kind of things, like you can't do with Cowork, right? Like, well, technically maybe you can let them build scripts and stuff like, but it's much more work.
Yeah, I see. It's like it's more custom. You need to,
Yeah,
and this one is more like off the box. Have you
I
tried?
think Moldbot, we could actually, like we do a lot of research on finding articles for our podcast. I think if we can actually like through the week let it research for us.
True.
And, like come with the most like newsworthy stuff. I think it would be a good try.
Yeah, indeed. I'm also wondering if we could use Moldbot to prepare maybe the show notes or something. I don't know. I feel like it could be maybe a question. This is, I imagine this is not the first one to do something like this, right? Like the ideas are there, like coworkers there. Do you think there's something about Moldbot that made it go viral specifically? Like maybe it's the plugins or maybe it's just because it works well?
I think it's just because it works well. Like the creator, by now there are multiple people behind this, but the creator, like they literally made like their own AI agent that they use for themselves, their personal assistant, and let it evolve over time and saw what worked well, what didn't work well, but also what became easier when models evolved, and then turned that into Moltbot.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's really from my, not built from let's build this, but like
we're using it.
I've
from
been
a
trying
necessity.
something like this. Like I have a prototype that I've had for the last year and I've been improving over time.
And it is free, right? Like it's open source. Like you just install with Bash.
I think for now it's completely open source, yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Have you tried Moldbot at all? Or have you seen the demo or have you?
Well, I actually installed it yesterday evening and I played about it this morning. So yeah, it sends me messages now over WhatsApp. It's called Jeeves, my AI assistant.
Yeah. So he sends you messages to your WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That says me like, you're looking good, Bart. These kind of things.
Don't listen to them. You're beautiful. That would be cool. Maybe you should do like a little demo or something as how to set it up or something. It could be interesting.
Yeah, that would be cool, yeah.
Yeah.
Because
cool.
like I said, it's still a bit techy, right? Like it's you need to be a bit tech savvy to set it up. It's not like it's not yet for everyone.
But honestly, for me, this is kind of I get very excited about this because I do think I'm techie. Start there, but also I feel like there are a lot of tasks on my day-to-day job that are not techie, right? It's like things like I'm organizing this. I need to send a message to every presenter to check this. Like, for example, we organize the Python user group, right? We want to send a message to all the speakers to make sure that they're there.
Yeah,
to make
these
sure
things.
like, like these things can really, I mean, and also these are things that I forget, right? So I think it's good to have another layer there. So yeah, very, very cool. Excited about this. I'll definitely give it a try, but maybe we should also do a little tour 360 on Moltbot. What else do we have? And this is from a few weeks, but a new ChatGPT Health mode is being pitched as safer, more structured way to use AI for health and wellness, including grounding answers in your own connected data. The tension is immediate. The more personalized it gets, the more conversation shifts from general advice to something that feels like care without actually being medical care. Oh, this is in Portuguese. 1 second. So ChatGPT Health, right? The way that I read the announcement here, right? And I also saw the videos. I think the way that they position, the way they introduced this, it makes a lot of sense, to be honest, right? They're basically saying people are already using ChatGPT to make sense of the medical world, right? Which is very jargon full. So now they just want to be more responsible in a way and have like a sandbox environment for health things and some things that are more like they did say that this was built next to healthcare providers, or I think they didn't say, or physicians they mentioned or something. And also you can also enrich the conversation history with health data, people health, whatever, right? I don't remember where, I saw maybe an article that the responsible or the person that announced this, they purposely didn't mention mental health, or they were a bit vague about it. And journalists explicitly asked them on this, like, what about mental health? And they just gave an answer like, well, mental health is part of health, so we're definitely working on this. I have mixed feelings about this, to be honest. How do you feel about ChatGPT Health parts? And maybe for people that listen that don't know, you do have a background in healthcare, no? Like
Part of my career at a university hospital, yeah. Well, I don't think that really adds anything to my answer here.
I don't know. I feel like it does because I feel like there are a few things that if you reach ChatGPT, like, and it says some things, you have more background to say, okay, this is not true. Or maybe it's never 100% of the cases, or it's never as sure thing, you know? And I feel like for a lot of people in the general population, they don't have that.
I'll try to give you an answer.
Okay.
So I think the smart thing to say is here is that you need to always go with problems to your doctor, right? I think the reality is as well that the healthcare system, depending a bit where you are, but generally is very busy. Sometimes hard to get an appointment, hard to talk to a specialist. Sometimes also just hard to diagnose something like a bit of pain here. Yeah, let's maybe wait a few weeks, right? Like it's a bit vague.
Yeah.
I think the other, or maybe just like the other reality to that is as well, like people will search themselves. Like before ChatGPT, this was WebMD. After WebMD, this became ChatGPT. I think the strong thing of ChatGPT held is that the objective at least is to basically pull in all your medical files to really have a reference, like who is actually this person that I have in front of me, and is it like, and it will probably like increase the quality of the answers.
Yeah, for sure.
Instead of just having like, I have this pain and just like getting all possible answers for a specific pain, and people getting crazy worried.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's like there's the joke, right? Like whenever you research your symptoms, the third option is always like cancer or something, you know? It's like...
Yeah, that's what it is. And people will search for the symptoms, right? Like even if it's on ChatGPT or it's a WebMD or wherever it is. So yeah, I think assuming that people will use something like ChatGPT to search for symptoms anyway, I think it's good if you have a functionality to pull in all your actual medical data to improve the quality of that chat, basically.
Yeah. And I agree with you. I think for me, the other side though is like, this shouldn't like this. I mean, I feel like when you read something on a website and then you saw like, oh yeah, it could be this and this, like because you read it, it never really felt like medical advice, right? But I feel like when you talk to a bot like ChatGPT, it is easier to see that as medical advice. I'm thinking more for like the general population, right? They see this as like, oh yeah, this is what it is. And there are some cases of people that they follow advice from AI bots that was actually very dangerous to your health, right? So I think,
well, what you hope is something like that is that next to pulling in your files is that it also like is trained or at least instructed to use verified sources to corroborate stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's what you would hope.
I would also hope that there's a disclaimer, right? Like, don't just verify with your doctor and doing these things, right? So, yeah.
Well, yeah, and at the same time, you have this news. It's not specifically about ChatGPT, but it was news 2 days ago. Someone had researched tool usage in OpenAI, like web searches to validate stuff, and ChatGPT was using Grokopedia to find stuff like to verify facts about Iran. I mean, that doesn't really like up the trust, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
So yeah, let's hope that they have verified sources in ChatGPT held.
Yeah.
But maybe yeah, there's a lot of what ifs to this, right?
And maybe one thing that I also think I do think is a good use case and lower risk, let's say, is like you mentioned, it's hard to get appointments. But not only that, sometimes also like you wait 3 months for an appointment with a doctor, and then you have like a window of 1 hour maximum, right? Because the doctor also have other patients.
1 hour is long, eh?
Yeah, 1 hour is long, but that's what I'm saying, like maximum, right?
Yeah, if you're very lucky.
Yeah, but I feel like sometimes doing your homework yourself, you get the blood results and like, okay, help me understand this. Like, and like you already kind of speeding up a bit the process so you don't have to because sometimes the doctor doesn't have that much time to really explain everything to you and ask all your follow-up questions. And then when you come to the doctor's appointment to be a bit more ready, like, okay, I talked to ChatGPT. These are the things that I understood based on my history. What do you think? Right? I do feel like that can be a very nice use case, right? Because I think you still have you still should believe the doctor first and foremost, right? But it still provides you with a more understandable not educational necessarily, but like just something that you can easily digest, right? You can talk to ChatGPT like, hey, explain this like I'm 5, right? Or like, I don't really get this, I feel like there's a lot of tools there. And I do think that could be a very nice use case.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Maybe related to this, Claude also, they announced something similar. Claude, advancing Claude in healthcare and life sciences. So it's also have so this is also January a few weeks ago. I think it was actually shortly after. So yeah, like you see, ChatGPT was on January 7th, and this was on January 11th. So one right after the other, and very similar. You can also connect to your health devices, Apple Health and whatnot. But it was less focused on, like, from the announcement that I read, they did seem less, they didn't specify as much on like giving advice or like all these different things. They did talk more about digesting the results and connecting to your data and all these different things. So I feel like they definitely took a more, how can I say, a different approach, right? I feel like it's less for people to say, hey, if you're wondering what's happening with you, I can help you. It was more about like, if you want to connect your health data, you want me to process data for you, I'm here. So I feel like it was a more cautious approach, but both ChatGPT and Claude now offer something like this, which again, like you said, people have been doing this before the AI, they'll keep doing. So I don't think it's.
And also interesting, a little bit sideways related through academia, is that OpenAI also yesterday announced, I forgot the exact name, let me quickly check it out. It's called Prism, which is a collaborative suite for researchers to basically research and build papers on research.
So it's a platform. It's not just
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So of course not necessarily healthcare related, but it's academics related.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would hope. So this is also an example where you see like people are gonna use something like ChatGPT anyway to research and write papers. Maybe if OpenAI builds something like this, like they have really good, strong guardrails in place to make sure that there's no hallucination, etc., etc. Like if someone is best placed to avoid hallucination, it's the provider of the model, of course.
Yeah, for sure.
So there's reason to be optimistic if we ignore the Wikipedia stuff of a few days ago.
Yeah, but again, in any case, and I'll keep saying this, that whoever produces an output should still be responsible for it, right? And I think you should always know that AI is a tool. You can hallucinate, you can do this, you can do that. Yeah, the models are getting better, but you should never be able to get to a point where you say, blame ChatGPT because of this, right? Like, I think there's some exceptions, of course, like everything in life, but
no, that I fully agree with. You're responsible what you put in there, right?
Exactly.
But you would hope that something like ChatGPT, especially if it's built to do research, that if you find information or a fact, that you don't need to validate whether or not it even exists.
Yeah,
that we get to that stage, right?
For sure.
You're still responsible for this, but let's say if you search something now on Google Scholar, at least it exists, right?
Yeah.
I hope we can go to that step at some point.
Yeah, and I think, again, the way I use AI, right, there are things that are expensive mistakes and cheap mistakes, right? If it's a cheap mistake, then maybe I'll be trustworthy towards ChatGPT. If it's something that is an expensive mistake, then I'll do my homework, right, and I'll check things. So I think there's also a bit of that, which is like another layer of thinking for people, right? And I do think it's nice to see this, like you said, Prism, I think is very clever from ChatGPT as well, because we have seen as well that researchers were using AI, right? We saw papers that were published with the classic ChatGPT, hi, here's information on X, or this is how to write a conclusion, or do you want me to expand on this? So yeah, again, people are already there, right? So let's build a product where people are already and not try to build a product and then get the people in.
Exactly.
Right, so cool. What's next?
Let me see which one. Oh, sorry. Yeah. OpenAI outlines how it will keep ChatGPT's advice independent as it pilots ads and rolls out the $8 per month Go tier to all 171 supported countries. Ads will sit below answers, be clearly labeled and switchable to off with no data shared with sponsored, the company vows. So, ads are coming to ChatGPT?
Yes.
On the Go tier at least.
And the Go and free tier, yeah. So I read this as well, the ads principle, right? And I think we did discuss because there were rumors their ads were coming. And I think they kind of addressed all the rumor or all the concerns, let's say, right? So they said, okay, the answers will not influence ChatGPT, right? You can, like, we're not going to share your data with the ad providers, like the conversations, right? You can personalize ads or not. Yeah, you can, like, we long-term value. We do not optimize your time spent in ChatGPT, so we don't want you to linger there to see more ads. We want to trust the user experience. And also one thing that I thought was interesting is, like, it needs to, like, they're not going to just take any ads, right? There needs to be a mission alignment. This is how it will look.
Just forced to say that because they still are this
Non-profit or something.
Yeah. But it's also interesting, their statement there, if you go up a little bit, is today we're talking about the free and the Go tier, right? Where there will be ads. But they're saying, if you go back down a little bit, the ads principles, well, they're basically saying that there will always be a paid tier. I don't see it right now. There will always be a paid tier that it's ad free, but they're not saying which one it is.
That is true.
Today, that is the from the pro tier and up. Maybe in the future, it will only be the max tier.
That is true. That's true. It's very sneaky. I also think that they're saying this now, and these are ad principles, but also these things could evolve over time.
Yeah, of course.
Right. So I think it's nice to say, and I think, again, if you're doing ads, I think that's the correct thing to say, but it could change in the future. But they also gave some more, for example, this is an example how it would look like, right? So you have the conversation, and you have something at the bottom that clearly shows that it's an ad. And then actually you can, like, once you click on the ad, like if you're, like in the example here is about, I guess, a trip, and then it has an ad on a winery or something. And you can click on the ad and chat with that. So to say, like, okay, what do you recommend? Like, okay, what is this about? What's the price range of this? And I guess you could also book, right? I think they've been, with the commerce things, they also been building up to that. So again, I feel like of all the ways that this could have gone, I think this is one of the better ways, right? Like in terms of ads and all these things. I think this is in the bringing US and everywhere ChatGPT is available. Yeah, so a lot of different places. What do you think of, I mean, also I heard, and I don't, it's not here, but I think I heard somewhere that just from ads, they expect to have like billion revenue.
It's a lot of free users, huh?
Exactly. A lot of free users. What do you make of this?
Yeah, I think at this point, no one is really surprised, right? I think I would have a problem with it if it's I'm on the pro tier. I would have a problem with it on the pro tier and I'm getting ads. I think with the free tier, you're like, if you're not paying for the product, you're the product, right?
Yeah.
They're expecting you to click ads, or they're expecting you to use your data in whatever way. The Go tier is a bit in between that. Yeah, I think we were all waiting for this to happen, and no one is really excited about it. But I think also there are a few people that are very vocal about this, being anti. But I think the large majority of free tier users, they won't care.
Yeah,
and they're also very used to it. Like if you're on Google, you search for something, like half of the page is ads. Yeah. It's promoted content.
Yeah.
And this is all a bit much, but at the same time, ads bring us a lot. Like ignoring that it's on the ChatGPT platform, ads allow people to start a company. And if I start a company today and I pay for a little bit of ads, then I'll be known in the whole European Union a month from now. Yeah. I mean, ads do a lot for the economy. So I'm not necessarily against ads, but I think it's sometimes we hope to be to have a bit of peace and quiet. Yeah, peace and quiet is taken away by too much ads.
And I also think that the happy story about ads is that you discover things that you wouldn't normally discover yourself, right? So it's like recommendations.
Well, exactly. That's the other side of it, yeah.
But I'm also wondering if this, if I don't know if, again, maybe I want to hear your opinion on this, but do you think this also put in context a bit the pressure, financial pressure from investors on ChatGPT, on OpenAI, sorry? Because we did hear about, well, first, Sam Altman, and he's I don't know if I don't want to say showman, but he is, like he makes bold statements at times. He did say that ads was going to be a last resort. Then we hear about Code Orange. Then we hear about Code Red. And then we hear about like they're losing market share to Gemini. And now they're doing ads, which I do think it would happen. I do think it is the right move, right? Like you're trying to make a profit. It still feels like, aside from ChatGPT, they're still trying to see how to convert all these things to profit, right? And ads is the most trusted, easier path forward, right? To make money from these free users, right? Like I think it would be much harder to convert free users to paying users.
Well, especially at their scale, right?
Exactly. Right.
Well, and what I think you should not ignore is that they are very much making a consumer-facing product, right? Like Anthropic is much more enterprise developer focused. Like it's a
More
different
niche,
type
right?
of
It's like,
different way to monetize this.
yeah,
I think, and like you're saying, like it's very hard to convert all those paying customers to. I think it's not doable, right?
exactly. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. I was thinking of like other things. I mean, they're trying different things for sure.
And I think ads is also like it's a bit vague because it's just a simple ad that you're saying, but you also have like I would like to do on ChatGPT where this product across multiple providers, get a provider that can get it to me in 2 days with a good price, with good reviews, and just order it for me. Like these type of things, I would be very happy if it's possible, and they probably get like a percentage of the sale.
Yeah.
And it's also like sort of promoted content, I guess, because like these partners need to interact with their ecosystem.
Yeah, it's true.
Or at least connect with the ecosystem.
Yeah. I'm also ChatGPT, again, OpenAI, their product is ChatGPT, right? And I think it was free, ad-free until now. But they're also trying a lot of different things, right? Like they mentioned like the hardware thing, you mentioned Prism, you mentioned health, you mentioned, I don't know, there's a lot of different angles that they're trying to explore, which I guess is not bad, right? Like you're trying to see where your niches, your paying niches. I think for Anthropic, it's more clear. For Gemini or Google, right? You have the whole workspace. You have a lot of different things that Gemini can rely on. And I think ChatGPT is kind of trying to find their place, even though being a generalist in this case, maybe it's not that bad, right? I mean, now if you have count on ads and you count the revenue from ads, I think you're gonna definitely gonna make a lot of money there, I would imagine.
Yeah. And it's also like, we're calling it a generalist, but they're also like way bigger than any other player. Like the valuation is twice as big as Anthropic, for example. Like, I mean, it's to be expected that they do more, right? They have the skill to theoretically pull it off. Like, I agree that there's less, like, looking from afar, there's less focus, but they're also way bigger.
Yeah, and I did mention that one before, right? They're losing market share, which it has been reported, but still, like, they're still the biggest by quite a big margin, right? So,
yeah.
Just to put in perspective what I said before. And what is next? Is it my turn?
I think so, yes. The last one.
The last one for today, yeah. So Reuters reports Apple will use Google's Gemini models to revamp Siri, a major vote of confidence that reshapes AI stack on billions of devices. The twist is what it means for OpenAI's role on Apple platforms. Does ChatGPT stay bolt-on for quote-unquote complex queries, while Gemini becomes the default intelligence layers? So yeah, basically the story here, as I understand it, is that Google will start using Google Gemini for Siri, which a lot of different questions that come up, right? So first, like they did have a partnership with OpenAI, but it wasn't like as I understand, like Siri was not gonna be powered by ChatGPT, but like if you had queries, it could actually route the questions to ChatGPT. So if you ask Siri something, say, "Hey,"
it's possible now, yeah. In Apple Intelligence, you can set up your OpenAI account.
Yeah. So it says like Apple Intelligence, like the Siri will be OpenAI.
No, in Apple Intelligence, you can set indeed like your OpenAI account, and then for more complex stuff, like you can use that. But by default, you use Siri.
Okay. And now what I understand from this is that Siri will be a layer on top of Gemini.
Yeah. I'm not sure what to say about this. Like, I have the feeling every quarter we get news that Siri is going to be revamped, and it never happened.
But now it seems like they're saying, I'm going to stop trying. Like Apple Intelligence failed, Siri's still bad. I'm just going to let it Gemini take care of this. That's the other question, right? So there's the two. What happens with the partnership with OpenAI? And does that mean that Apple is actually admitting, quote unquote, or owning that they cannot build Apple Intelligence?
Like I say, it's very hard for me to reason about this. Like, this is a discussion that comes back every quarter, and we were thinking the same with OpenAI, that they were going to give more access. Like, it's still shitty.
Yeah.
There is some Apple Intelligence, but it's hard to use. It's not user friendly. Siri still doesn't understand me when I'm in the car.
Yeah.
Let's hope it brings a bit of AI maturity to Siri. I'll wait and want to see it first.
Okay. So you're cautiously optimistic.
No, I'm very neutral. I've
Really?
lost my optimism on Apple's AI capabilities.
Okay. We'll see. Well, I thought if anything else, like it is an interesting turn of events, right? Like I would imagine that Apple would grow their partnership with OpenAI, but they went another route. One thing also they said here that I thought was a bit interesting. After careful evaluation, Apple determined that Google's AI technology provides the most capable foundation for Apple foundation models. So again, kind of saying like,
from a partnerships point of view, I think this makes more sense than OpenAI. In a sense that Apple is already a huge partner to Google. And they use Google as the default search engine, which generates a lot of revenue for both Apple and Google. So this is a bit of the a other direction in the partnership. It becomes a bit more two-sided, which of course like strengthens the overall partnership. While you at the same point you don't really have this bi-directional thing with OpenAI.
Yeah.
So just from looking historically at the way that they've worked together, this makes more sense. This is a known partner. This is trustworthy. Like, that is
one thing they also
surprising,
mentioned,
right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think when you think like that, yes. I think it's more surprising because they had a deal with OpenAI first, right? I think if they didn't have the deal with OpenAI, they say we're going with Google, and you really think about it, it's like, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
They also mentioned like technology already drives much of Samsung's Galaxy AI. Do you think that also plays a role? Like they already are like the Android devices, right? A lot of times it's like the Hey Google. Do you think that expertise or that niche plays a role into this or not really? Because I mean, they mention it here, but I wouldn't have said that it's that relevant, to be honest.
Maybe it just means that they have a lot of experience interacting with a edge ecosystem.
Yeah, maybe.
Because I bet that's basically what you're doing, right? Like your instrument, like you're using an LM to instrument like a hardware device.
Yeah.
And it, in the end, it's still Apple that needs to enable it. But we've seen that the models of Google, and especially Gemini 3 Flash, like is very good at these things around tool usage. And so, yeah.
So we'll see.
It will still depend on whether or not Apple can execute.
Yeah, but I also feel like this sounded to me like they're kind of saying we cannot really execute, so we're going to lean more on someone else that we believe can execute, which also is a bit of a first for Apple, right? Even when they announced the partnership with ChatGPT, I remember people discussing that Apple was very known to build everything from themselves, and it's a very elegant product, and they waited a long time because they wanted to be polished before they go out to the market. And then the ChatGPT announcement was also a way to kind of say if it is because of ChatGPT's answers, is not Apple's answers, right? So also the bit of brand protection, but Apple Intelligence also failed.
But it's also like there's one way to look at it, but that only is true if you look at an LLM as just not a piece of software. Like a good LLM these days is very hard to build, right? Like if you look at the chips that Apple uses, they have their own chips, but in the end, they're being produced probably by a lot of them by TSMC. So they don't have their own foundries; they have their own specs on how to produce them, but it's in the end they're relying on foundries to actually do it.
Yeah.
And you could look a bit at this partnership the same way, right? The LLM is being provided by a provider like Google, but everything around that and wrapped around that to actually use that in their product is built by Apple. To have like a very good user experience. That's one way to look at it. I don't think it's fair to say like because you're not using an LLM, you don't own it. Like because it's an LLM is like we've seen the investments that were required for OpenAI and Anthropic and the big players to have something that is very performant, right?
Yeah, and I think in the case of Google, we're talking very highly of Gemini right now. But if you asked us like a year ago, or maybe a bit more, like I remember Bard when it was announced, and when Google introduced AI answers.
Yeah.
Right, like I feel like if you think of the investment they probably took to really get to where they are, it was a lot of error, a lot of trial, and I think so. I think it just speaks to what you're saying, right? It's not trivial.
Maybe this will become easier like 5 years from now. Yesterday, Kimi K2.5 was released. Yes. Better in tool usage than all the other big ones. Yeah. So maybe it will become easier to build these things, right? But I don't think it is now.
Indeed. Yeah, I agree. And I agree. I wonder if at one point there would be no first mover's advantage, right? Like if at one point things are gonna bit like saturate, and I wonder. Not sure. Maybe one last question before we call it a pod. Have you used open source models or like non-proprietary open source models? Like I'm thinking more the Kimi or the more geeky, like the Chinese models, right? Have you ever used those for coding or not at all?
It's been a while.
But you have done it in the past.
Yeah, but when I used OpenRouter a lot. But I've been on Claudebot for, I want to say, the last 6 months.
Yeah, I was actually playing a bit, and maybe we can talk about it another day. I played a bit with bring your own key to Claude, and what are the things you need to do, like if you want to use, even if you know there's Gemini with Claude code, right? And like I need to use API route. I also heard from I saw on LinkedIn someone saying that Minimax 2.1 is good for coding. It has the same API as Claude Code, so you can just replace it. But I think there's not like Ollama. I saw as well that you can actually run models locally, and it still exposes the same API that Claude Code expects. So you should be able to also use local models. I talked to someone that tried it and it didn't work well because it's locally, right? It's like the models are a bit shitty. So I'm also a bit curious on that, right? Like I said, how this works and how Claude Code starts becoming less Claude and more like a TUI.
Yeah, great. It's something that we can deep dive in.
I think so. At least that's something that interests me. Again, if anyone's listening that says not interested, you can let me know. If you say, yeah, I'm very interested, let us know as well, and we'll definitely bump the priority on these things. But I think that's it for today. Any last words of wisdom you want to share, Bart?
Make sure you trust your partners.
Like your spouse, or what do you mean?
It's made it awkward. I was referring to the first article that we were discussing.
The first article? I forgot already.
It's about the AWS.
Sovereign Cloud, yeah. Okay, that's true.
Let's make sure you trust your tools.
Okay, trust your tools.
It's maybe also relevant for Moldbot, right?
Yeah, that's true. Let's
you know what I tried just now with Moldbot? I've asked it to send you every morning, 7 o'clock, a short playful compliment.
I saw that you sent me one. Murillo,
I didn't. Jeeves sent you one.
Okay, my bad.
The name of my Claudebot.
Murillo, you're absurdly techie. Jeeves.
Yeah, you were saying on the pod, like a bit like, I think I'm techie.
So I think,
jeez,
I'm blushing.
So now every morning you will receive a compliment.
But how does it? So Jeeves sends you via your phone number on WhatsApp, I guess.
Well, that's the easiest setup, yeah.
Yeah, because I know that like I have set up like a little bot thingy, but it's a bit cumbersome. Huh? It's not
on like WhatsApp.
Yeah, with WhatsApp the setup.
What's a business setup? That's easy.
You need to have a business, and then if you want to have there's a demo, you have to.
Telegram is super easy to do this.
Yeah, I was actually thinking maybe we should switch to Telegram and we can automate the show notes as well, you know? Maybe we could do it.
So yeah. So I think
Hey,
when
how?
Moltbot gets video generation, like this will just be Jeeves
Exactly.
acting
We're
as me.
just collecting all the paychecks from all the
Yeah.
monies we get from the pod.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so if Jeeves talks to you on WhatsApp, how does it talk to you actually?
Like via my own name.
So it just sends yourself a message,
Yeah,
kind of.
exactly. Yeah.
Interesting. Actually, yeah, yeah. It's a side topic, but maybe I'll ask after we off recording. It's not that interesting. But thanks a lot. Yeah, I'll see you next week.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Next week.